Fantastic. So happy to see you all. Oh my goodness gracious. How precious. How precious. Wow. Okay. Well, I was very, very fortunate that I was taught how to have 50 people on my screen. So I've got almost all of you up. This is wonderful. So I can see you all. It has been quite an amazing week. I played the opening of a video that I am working on right now with Anam Tupten's beautiful poem. I've been privileged to have almost 30 of my senior students helping me to create a dance of the stanzas. And this beautiful mantra dance that I just shared with you all, this came looking up when I was in Florida, not knowing what was going to happen. It was April, May, and I was looking up into the arms of this magnificent oak tree, and I saw the movements so simple, totally following his directions. I was very, very pleased, very happy. So I will certainly offer a class in this soon for everyone to attend. And soon you will be able to see the beautiful dances that have been created for the stanzas of his poem. So here we are. Let's see, what is it? September 1st, full moon. This is unbelievable, yes? So for those of us in the Northern Hemisphere, we are entering into fall. It's been the strangest summer ever, and we have no idea what's going to happen and how it's going to happen. Although it seems to me that at some point we'll grab a hold of this virus and we will subdue it, and we will at least return to being able to meet in groups and not fear infecting each other. I'm so grateful for the absolute consequence that Tara dancers have displayed in remaining at home and not forcing any issue of meeting in person, of developing the classes online so that we could stay together, in some ways more together than we were when we were just dancing in our own circles. So I'm very proud of my beautiful community. I'm also very pleased with the questions that were submitted for me to discuss with you today in this heartfelt sharing that I am able to offer. It's very helpful for me to know the direction that your thoughts, the questions that we ask in a Dharma context are very important. There are no stupid questions. You've got to get that and never be shy about asking your questions. I'm going to pin myself here so I can concentrate now on what I have to say. Yeah, instead of looking at all your beautiful faces and getting distracted. The thing about these Dharma questions, as I was saying, it's so important for you to try to articulate. And I really encourage you to write them down, because you're forcing the mind to concentrate in a very specific way. Concentration is an absolute key to working with practice, to working with our spiritual journey, because we are trying to stimulate the neural networks. We're trying to create neural networks. And the more intensity we place on our direction, the more powerful these networks are. It is said that thousands of them are created in the blink of an eye. So if we can sustain a thought, then we are creating very strong neural pathways. And these will rest with us. They will hold us in a direction that we want to go in, so that whenever we're stimulated by the world and its display, by the people who engage with us. When we're stimulated, this is what arises. Now, I've been asked to really just explain a little bit more about this business of the neural networks and so forth. The reason I'm even using that term, it's just easier to indicate that it is the current group of medical research that has started to communicate publicly and very vociferously. They've got a lot of material and they've been working on it for a while, and they've been working on it in really brilliant directions to try to understand the anatomy, not only of the brain, of course that's a big part of it, but the anatomy of the mind. And as we know, those of us who have done extensive research of our own through various practices and spiritual paths, that the mind itself is an elusive business, that when you try to place your focus upon it, it fragments and it goes in 1,000 directions. We can try to place the mind on something, and we can only sustain that placement for a very short time in the beginning. It takes really concentrated effort to be able to concentrate. So this particular aspect, the research indicates that by being able to place the focus of the mind on something that we want to have happen, that we want to develop within ourselves, and this has everything to do with our personal identity. So if we, for instance, if we want to think of ourselves as being competent and capable, we need to continually reaffirm that. We need to affirm it consistently and energetically and repetitively. And we need to do it. The other aspect of the mind is it becomes dull when it receives the same information. It just goes in that direction. It creates a direction, and then so the initial creation is dynamic, according to these research scientists. The initial approach, the initial connection is dynamic. Boom, something happens. All of a sudden, something different is going on. So the nerves are alert to this, and they are automatically seeking out connectivity. And you are creating connectivity, and you are stimulating them with all kinds of hormones, with all kinds of proteins. It's pretty amazing what they have discovered. So if you do it, you have to also be creative. Because if you sustain one way, that's helpful, but you want to live it. As you live it, you will become more and more substantial. And the more substantial it is, the more it presents itself. Right now, what we have presenting itself in our moment-by-moment experience is all of the impulses from the past. That's what arises in the present. All the impulses from the past arise in the present. But the future is totally, it appears as if, because there's a continuity of movement. But if you have choices, which we do, and this is the other thing that we need to understand very clearly, that we can choose how we are going to think about something. Now, at first, the overwhelming impression is going to be whatever you've put in there in the past. So if you have consistently, over the course of your lifetime, told yourself that I cannot sing, I cannot sing, I cannot sing, and your environment has reinforced this perhaps by some teacher saying something or somebody saying something, doesn't matter, because as it goes in motion, as it's placed in motion, then it starts to accumulate things that reinforce the experience to the point where you've got a pretty solid sensory experience. So by the time you get into your 30s, you have established a tremendous amount of these pathways is defining your persona. Now, up until recent research, we were presented with the idea that this was a solid thing. So, Freud called it the ego, and the ego was a solid thing, and we were in some kind of fight with the ego, overwhelmed by the ego. There was a non-flexible condition. But the lamas, these great meditators, have consistently said that the persona is not solid. There's nothing solid about it. This is when they're talking about no self. They're talking about the fact that there's nothing solid there, that we are defining it. We're saying this is a solid thing. I am Prema, I'm a woman, I'm a this, I'm a that. But it's not solid. It's changing 360 times a second. So every nanosecond, there's the possibility of change. The possibility of change. Now, if I have all of these neural networks set in place that are telling me repeatedly, I am this, I am this, I am this, and I think that I can't change, then that's really what's going on. And the older we get, the more solidified this becomes. Now, those of us who have engaged in these practices and who are working in these practices have been hearing repeatedly from these powerful beings, these meditators who have put a tremendous amount of time and energy into thinking about this and how to transmit it, telling us, no, you do this, you are Tara, and Tara is everything. And her everything is a complete comprehension of the system. Tara knows everything, and so do you. This is what is possible. So in other words, they're telling us, you have the capacity. You have the capacity, you have the potential to reveal this possibility of your humanity, of your consciousness. And all of the practices that they are presenting us with and engaging us with are orienting us in that direction, in the direction of wholesome presentation. So we are repeatedly telling the body-mind, I have wisdom, I have it. The wisdom of interconnectedness is within me. Now, every time you say that, according to these researchers, it does not matter how solid the thing is, as long as the mind hears it and feels your commitment to it, it will form a neural pathway. So here we are now, today is full moon. So 100,000 times the amplitude, the possibility, the universe is blessing us with this opportunity to move deeply into what it is, into our motivation, what it is that we want to manifest within this body-mind. We are able to choose. This is one of the aspects of humanity, of our being a human being. One of the reasons why it's so precious to be in this position, because as a human being, we are not compelled. When we're talking about the lower realms, which has come up a number of times lately, the lower realms, the hell realms, the hungry ghost realms, the animal realm, these lower realms do not have the potential. It's not easy to break out of them. The mindset is so obsessive that you can say something, but it doesn't make any difference. So, and the easiest one to understand that is the realm, the anger realm, the hell realm, the realm of anger and hatred. Because all of us have had those moments when we get into the place where we are really angry, whether it's a cold anger where we're freezing the world out, or whether it's a hot anger where we're ready to do damage. Doesn't matter. Anger and hatred is very, very difficult to get out of. It's very difficult. If someone tries to reach into your anger and hatred and disarm it, that only makes you more angry. You cannot, it's very, very difficult. So it can only be penetrated by the most intense wisdom and compassion, according to these teachings. It's possible. It's possible. So that's what we're trying to develop in the course of our practice. We're trying to develop the capacity that no matter who presents whatever they're presenting, that we are able, with the power, the wisdom that understands that we're connected, infinitely connected, and the radiance of the compassion that will engage in the suffering and bring some kind of skillful inspiration to help to disarm it, so that whoever is suffering, we can help them to see their condition and their situation in a positive light. Because once we get that the way we approach something, the way we engage with something, the way we think about something, that is what is going to affect everything. So this is why we cultivate as much as possible strategy for meeting the world in the most positive way we can. Because this is, every time, no matter what we think, we are creating these neural pathways. We are reinforcing. We're either reinforcing the negative or the positive. But the activity itself reinforces. It sets into motion, and it engages in ways that allow us, as we go on, to meet the world in specific ways. Now, I'm often asked, I get, I've done all this practice, and I thought that I dealt with this issue, and then here it is again, and here I am again, exploding or getting depressed or being jealous, or whatever the reaction is. And you want to panic about this. You want to say, so what's the use of practice if this is what happens? Well, the point is that you have not really put into place enough of the neural pathways that are going to arise in a positive manner. What you will notice, though, is that it's not only the negative that arises, the positive arises too. It's just not as strong. And so, because you're already saying, look, I already know there's another way to do this. I do know there's another way to do this, but I didn't do it. Why didn't I do it? Okay, so it's simple. You didn't do it because it's strong. It's the impression is so strong and so overwhelming and so powerful. Okay, don't trip out about this. This is where we look, the teachings say very carefully, do not be afraid of any mental content. Do not be afraid. Do not judge yourself. Do not cling to guilt, because guilt is a negative pathway. Guilt is I'm mad, I'm bad, I'm never going to be better. Okay, maybe that's what you're developing. That's what you're holding yourself in place by doing that. So what do? You look at it and go, okay, that was a mistake. I can do better. I can do something different. And as you say that, you are reinforcing a positive neural pathway. So, and that's the good thing. You want to do that. And every time a negative thought comes up, you take the power of that energy, because sometimes these negative thoughts are pretty powerful. They're, people keep telling me about how afraid they are, how unnerved they are about the conditions and the situation. And, and I keep thinking, so transform the power of that emotion into something positive. Transform that power. One of the most powerful things that we're told we can do in our activity, one of the most powerful things we can do is dedicate merit. Now, this was a question that I was asked by Malia. What is dedicating merit? Okay, first of all, let's understand what merit is, because that was the question that I asked for 10 years before I understood. Merit is simply a way of defining positive impressions. Positive impressions. So when we engage in certain kinds of behavior, we are creating within ourselves positive impressions. We're creating these positive neural networks. So how do we do that? What is the most powerful thing we could do? So the most powerful thing we could do is to wish others well. It's simple. And yet, think about how many times during the day do you think of other people and without blessing and benefiting them? Now, just think about the political situation that's arising in our country right now. How many negative thoughts do you have about the behavior of some of the other side? And look at that. Be careful with that. Be careful with that. Change that to something positive. Yes, you can do that, of course. Yet behavior, however other people are behaving, they're behaving that way because they are either awakened or they're under the influence of the three poisons. They do not see interconnectedness. And because of that, they are panicking constantly. They are constantly in a state of panic. So they are clinging to their identity, which is changing all the time, which is very frustrating to them. And they are aggressively pushing away anything that threatens their identity, because that's all they know. That's all they have, is this fixed idea about the way things should be. Now that should stimulate great compassion. That should stimulate energy within us to think about these individuals with loving compassion and imagine how it would be if they were not suffering in that way. How would it be if they were not suffering in that way? What are the causes of that suffering? How can we disarm that for them? How can we help them to disarm it? Not to change them, not to make them into something that they're not, but to see where is that point at which love is the ruler in that heart? Where is the point at which that heart is able to see the infinite ocean of love in which we exist? Because everyone is there. Everyone has this potential. Everyone has this potential and this possibility. I was asked, what are the four kayas? What are the four bodies of a Buddha? Well, the four bodies of a Buddha are the capacity to see that we're not only flesh and blood. We're not only what I call gravity and density. This body, gravity and density. I'm not flying off the planet and I can't walk through walls. So that shows me that this body, which is associated with this mind, that it has a way of presenting itself in this realm of duality. Excuse me. Now, an enlightened being, as they reveal themselves, they can reveal themselves with the body of gravity and density if they choose. The second kaya, or the second body, is the body of light, sound, and vibration. This is the capacity to appear in a light body. Now, we have all kinds of examples of beings appearing in a light body. We have Tara, who has appeared to countless people in her light body. We have the different Buddhas. We have, in different religious groups, the appearance of prophets, the appearance of rishis, of holy people. There's many examples. I'm sure that if you talked to people, you would hear each one has their own experience of having seen or experienced, or in a dream where you know that you're dreaming, a lucid dream, and there is somebody right before you, body of light. So this capacity to manifest in the body of light has many attributes that we don't have in the body of gravity and density. And the way it appears, that there's a relationship between light, sound, and vibration in that particular realm. And it is said that it is also called, because it's called the Sambhoga Kaya. Bhoga is enjoyment, the body of enjoyment. Because being in a body of light, we can at any moment surrender to great bliss, because that is the nature of wisdom mind. Then the third body is the eternal body, the ultimate mind. And this, although we can say 1,000 words, and we can point this out in many different ways and so forth, we cannot really put a finger on this. It has to be experienced. And indeed, there are many examples of people surrendering into ultimate mind. In other words, having the perception that all things are interconnected, vibrationally arising and passing away into a great open sphere of what they call emptiness, but in fact not empty, because everything arises out of it and displays out of it. The fourth dimension of consciousness is the ability to integrate those three completely, so that you are dwelling always, constantly and consistently in the three realms, that you're not isolated, you're not separated from recognizing that this body of gravity and density is also light, sound, and vibration arising, and it also is present with the ultimate understanding of the mind. That is the Swabhavakaya, which is the fourth dimension of consciousness. So I'm rambling around through these questions because they're all very, very integrated. Carrie asked, now you're talking about the neural pathways and so forth and all of these things. How does our practice really work? How does it work? That's a good question, but it's pretty obvious to me. It works in the reinforcement of the mind with positive impressions. And because we come at this from different directions and we change the view again and again. So 1 minute we're Tara, the next minute Tara is in front of us, the next minute Tara is melting into us, the next minute Tara is in our heart. Our heart is radiating light and love. It's radiating different colors. It's invoking various qualities. It's concentrating on various qualities. It's making offerings, so therefore it sees the universe and everything that surrounds it as infinitely wealthy, because everywhere we look, we see that there's all kinds of things happening. It's a very rich universe. And so if we affirm that and we think, whatever I receive, whatever I enjoy, I dedicate my enjoyment to the great enlightened ones. I dedicate my enjoyment to all those who need whatever they need. May my enjoyment go to them. This is dedication. And this is the dedication of merit. When we generate positive impressions, any kind of positive impression, we are going to create within ourselves and around ourselves a refined energy that is working constantly on our neural networks to develop them into something positive and supportive. Then if we take that energy and we think, okay, what I've received that has created this insight and experience within me, I am going to dedicate this to the benefit of all beings. And that's what the dedication is. Every single dedication, no matter what is going on, you can think of the things that you're concerned about. My concern, okay, like lately, these past 5 days, I kept thinking, I really want to dedicate this energy to the leaders of the world so that they could awaken to the truth of interconnectedness, so they can benefit the various groups that are upset, that are not treated well, that don't have adequate housing, that don't have adequate food. Whatever it is, I pray that may transform. So that's specific. But at the same time, I want to also wish that everybody, no matter where they are, no matter who they are, no matter what they're doing, that they will feel positive energy in their life, that they will have what they need, that they can awaken to their own loving heart. Every single person. So when we say for the sake of all beings, that's what we're thinking, or we should be anyway. We should be thinking. There's how many billions of people on this planet, and doing, there's every kind of thing is going on. Not only bad things, good things too. But also, there's just this all-pervasive suffering. This is what the Buddha pointed out. There's this all-pervasive suffering that is going on, that people are dissatisfied. that from 1 minute to the next, they cannot find a comfortable seat. They're sitting down too long. They're standing up too long. They're running around too much. The constant motion, trying to find comfort, trying to find joy, trying to find pleasure, or finding it and then losing it. So these conditions, we wish that everyone will be able to rest in the openness of the power of the true essence, the true nature of mind, which is radiant and imbued with infinite loving compassion, infinite loving compassion. And its essence is bliss. That's our birthright. That's our potential. That's everybody's potential. So when you wish that for billions of people, because this is a reflective universe, meaning it's binary, what goes out reflects back. It's rhythmic, what goes out reflects back. So just think, you just sent out 1 billion or 10 billion or however many people are on the planet. You just sent out 10 billion wishes for all of these billions of people to be happy, to be satisfied, to experience joy, to have everything they need. That energy reflects back. And so in this way, your vitality is increased. So this is what the dedication of merit is about. Now, Miri pointed out to me, she was the one who was discussing this with me a little bit, and reminded me of something Lama Tenzin said to me once that really helped me. I had said to him, I'm doing all these practices and I'm dedicating all this merit and I'm thinking of all these beings. Am I really making a difference for these people? And he said to me, probably not. Probably not. And so that was pretty distressing at first. And so I said, well, I don't get it. What do you mean? Probably not. Why am I doing this then? He said, because it's making an enormous difference to your body mind. He said, when you do this, you are, and here we go. He didn't use the same words, but setting up a neural pathway. And in this way, when you send this light and love out and you feel the reflection of it, you feel the energy coming back, it reinforces itself. And so the more you do it, the more reinforced this positive energy becomes. And so then when you're walking through the crowd or you're watching television or wherever human beings appear in all of their glory, you are prepared to send this light out to them. They're part of the whole picture, and you can wish them, I wish you well. I really, really wish you well. I wish you could be happy. I wish you could have what you need. So this builds a body of energy around you. Now, one of the things that I have experienced in our Tara dance practice is that when we do this together, we're reinforcing each other. So it's not only ourselves, we're not only hearing ourselves, but we're looking into each other's eyes and we're being reinforced by the group around us. Even if we can't see each other, we hear each other, we feel each other. So the power builds. Okay, here it is, the power. We've done this practice for 1 hour or 2 hours, whatever. In this case, for an hour, we have concentrated, all of us together, concentrating on this aspect of our experience. And so then what happens at the end, I'll say, okay, now let me dedicate this merit. And I will say some kind of prayer because this is my practice. But then I also will do the Om Ahum, because what the Om Ahum is for me is, first of all, I'm thinking, look, whatever we've created here right now, think about it right now with me. Whatever we've created, whatever insight, whatever stimulation, whatever joy I get in seeing all these beautiful faces or hearing these wonderful Dharma words, I'm placing that power in my hands right now. And I am imagining that I am offering it up to all the radiant light beings to connect with their power. And because of that, this becomes an ocean of wisdom nectar, an ocean of nectar. And then I'm wishing that it pour down upon the world. And I imagine that everybody, wherever they are, in whatever condition they are, that everybody get exactly what they need. This is very powerful stuff. It's very powerful stuff. And we can do it all the time. We can do it at any point. And in fact, I encourage you, if you feel your spirit slumping for any reason, or if you feel that you just need to do something, do Omahung, or do the Omahung dance. This is why we put it up on Vimeo and YouTube, and it's everywhere. Do the dance. The music is it's so inspiring. It's so beautiful. The movements are so simple, but what it will do to your body mind, that's the most important thing. It will refresh you. It will remind you, okay, yes, the conditions are difficult right now, whatever it is that we're all dealing with. And certainly we are dealing with all kinds of things. I mean, these past few days listening to just the conditions that people are dealing with right now, sickness and death and poverty, and worried about family and friends, and worried about the conditions of the world, looking at how things are going, and seeing how, oh my goodness, this looks pretty dramatically dangerous, what's going on. Okay. Omahung. Send the positive light out, because what's going to happen, the truth is, for our own being, we will be guided what it is that we have to do to make the most powerful offerings and blessings in the world. And then at some point we are going to die, and everything is going to change. And what is going to make a difference, that according to the teachings, death is our big initiatory moment. And everything that we do in this life is preparing us for that big initiatory moment. Because when we release this body, we are no longer obsessed by the three poisons. We are no longer obsessed by ignorance. We are no longer obsessed by desire. We are no longer gripped by our anger and hatred. And we have the capacity and the possibility to merge with our infinite nature, and therefore to be able to engage at the highest possible level to bring benefit to every being that possesses sentience. Now, the other thing that can happen when we die is that we could be completely trapped in our negative emotions, and we could be driven to rebirth in a negative condition, a negative situation, according to these teachings. We don't know what's going to happen, but we sure can prepare for it. One of the things that delighted me that Anam Thupten said when he saw our dance, and I've heard this from the Tibetans before, so it was really interesting to hear him reinforce it. He said people can be liberated from the negative or the lower realms just by seeing a witness of wisdom and compassion. So they will, this is why they have all these beautiful tankas, they have these temples, they have all of these different capacities, they do these long involved prayers. It's because even if people do not know what is going on, they will be blessed by the power of the frequency and vitality that we are offering through our practice. So when we dance and other people witness our dance, even if they don't know what's going on, they are given the blessing of turning away from the lower realms. So we have these tools, we have these capacities that we can work with. So I really want to encourage everyone. So now I'm going to look at my questions here and see. I know I've been bopping around. So one of these questions is, if you pray for someone who is really sick to get well, are we interfering in their karma? Well, again, it really has to do, it is our karma that they're present in front of us. It's our karma that we're part of whatever is going on. And so when we pray, we should pray for the best outcome, not for what's pleasing us, not for what we think is the best outcome, but for the best outcome, the highest possible outcome for the person who is suffering. We ask that their suffering be relieved, and that whatever conditions are going, whatever they need to get from this experience, that it becomes available to them without any resistance or any issue. So we cannot interfere in anyone else's karma. Their karma and our karma, same. It all arises at the same moment. So the main thing for us to do is to always wish people well. Really wish them well, wish that they can be free from suffering. That doesn't necessarily mean they're free from pain. It doesn't necessarily mean they're free from the conditions in which they feel are the cause of their suffering. The conditions are not the cause. It is the way we meet the conditions that are the cause. So they can change their mind, they can change their attitude, they can change their behavior, no matter what is going on. It's just like, when I had my operation, you've probably heard me say this a few times, and people would come and they would, ask me, how you doing? And my first response was, great, I'm doing really, really great. And then they would say, really? There I was. I couldn't move without pain. So I'd say, well, yes, I have pain, but I'm doing great. My body has pain, but I'm doing great. So that really helped me to get through the whole situation. And this is what we encourage. So you cannot interfere with someone else's karma. Your interference is their karma. You're part of their karma. You're part of whatever is arising there. And whatever is going to happen is going to happen. You don't need to worry about that. So that is that one. Then let's see. Now, Claire. This is not our New Zealand Claire. This is a Claire in the United States. She has written, and I've tried to paraphrase her question, which is, apparently she was betrayed by a trusted friendship, and she relied on the words of strength and confidence that this friendship gave her, and so, and now she's finding herself in midlife, and she feels that how can she find another confidant? How can she develop somebody that she can confide in? That this is her last chance, and that the betrayer also ruined her reputation through slander. So and she feels that she's made this mistake many times in her friendships. So how can you find a friend who will not betray you? How do you maintain your practice in the midst of these repeated falls into isolation, betrayal? How can you trust anyone to be a real friend? Well, this is something that there's no straightforward answer to this. You need to get your mind stable and clear. That's what I suggest. Within your own personal stability and clarity, you will see another person and try to understand, try to feel into what they are, who they are, and understand that everybody has their weaknesses and their confusion. And if they are displaying this negativity towards you, you keep loving them, but you don't need to associate with them. You don't need to keep a friendship. Sometimes, we really need to develop power and presence within ourselves. We are our own best friend, number one. So we need to get to know ourselves. Are you betraying yourself in any way? This is part of what I would have you ask yourself. Are you not honoring yourself? Are you not taking care of yourself? How are you participating in this? But engaging in friendship, having friendships and attracting friends to you, it takes a while to establish an intimate trust. You can't just jump into it and expect a person is going to take you on and want to hear all of the various ways in which you are confused or in which you are suffering. You have to go slowly, and some people you recognize, boom, like that, and you feel something and you can engage. But it's not a straightforward answer. The most important cultivation that you have to do is of your own body mind, of yourself. Really gain confidence in who you are, and gain clarity, gain stability. When you do that, then you will be able to see clearly how a person is presenting to you. Yeah, not an easy one, that one. No, it's going to take you some work. And I would really recommend that you seek out people, Dharma people, who know a little bit about these practices, or even a good psychologist that you can talk to freely about your feelings, so that you can find that place of stability within yourself. Then you will automatically attract friends. Okay, let's see. What else? I had another one. All right. Okay, so I answered Mary, Malia, with the dedication of merit. And then she says, how do you deal with conflicting emotions? For example, ferocious compassion. Okay, ferocious compassion is not a conflicting emotion. Ferocious compassion is the ability to say no with force. It's the ability to be disciplined and to discipline when it is effective. So it's not a conflict. You only engage with that kind of intensity out of compassion. So it's compassion that motivates you. Okay, what do I see? When I see and feel myself and others overwhelmed by fear and self-loathing and rejection, I seem to be unable to connect to the teachings of the Dharma, read the true self. Overcoming, going beyond, diving deeper, to be a bodhisattva practitioner, to offer refuge. Okay, really, I need at least 21 taras to get the job done. Malia, of course you do. Yes, we need 21 taras to get the job done. We need to just really, what I recommend, it's part of our program, our educational program. And I really recommend that everyone engage in one way or another with looking deeply into our practices and really knowing them and understanding them. So starting with that prayer of motivation, really take one line at a time and question yourself, do I believe this? Do I understand it? Read what you can in my book or wherever else you can find information about true motivation. Read about it and write down your questions and ask them, because we need to develop a platform of security, of stability, and this will happen if you follow the practice. It is very one step leads to the other. It's motivation leads to refuge leads to bodhicitta leads to the invocation of Tara. The invocation of Tara helps us to purify, to let go. Engage really in these practices with not just lip service, not just reading them or just dancing them, but really understanding them, really seeing, okay, is this true? The Buddha, somebody sent me a paraphrase, this beautiful phrase, thought of the Buddha. I've heard it so many different ways. I don't know which one he really said, but the latest one that I really enjoyed was that he said, my words, take my words as you would a lump of a stone, and you refine it to find the gold in it. And you keep refining it until you really have the gold. He said, then it's yours. Then it's yours. Otherwise, if it's just my words, it's just a lump, a rock. It doesn't have any substance for you. It's not going to enrich you in any way. You have to really look at this stuff and make it yours. Again, back to the neural pathways. Remember that what we determine, what we believe, what we feed our body mind it reinforces itself, and it reinforces itself to the point where our entire persona and our entire behavior will completely change, will totally orient itself according to that. So yes, it's, you may have some problems here. We're talking about where I need ferocious compassion, I need the remover of suffering, I need, of course you do. You need all the qualities of Tara, and you need to understand what is it in you that is resisting it, and don't run away from that. This, when I say explore this whole practice, really look at it, ask yourself the question, okay, this word bothers me. I often find this in students who are willing to go a little deeper into the practice. They'll look at one line and they'll say, okay, this word really bothers me. I'll say, okay, so let's talk about what it means, because it might be stimulating you in a really negative direction. That word might be bringing up some kind of neural pathway that is not wholesome. Okay, so no problem about that. Let's have another word then, because what we're trying to do is to establish what is going to support what it is that we want to manifest. What do we want to manifest? We want to manifest wisdom and compassion. We want to be skillful. We want to bless people. We want to love people. Okay, so then let's get on with it. How are we going to do that? And what is keeping us from doing that? What is keeping us from doing that? We need to really penetrate into the points of resistance. Now, this book that I'm reading right now, which I recommend, it's called You Are the Placebo. So this is by Joe Dispenza. And I've spoken about Joe before because this is his research, and he's developed this whole body of work in his own way, working with these principles, and has found tremendous healing occurring. So the idea of the placebo is that it's not the thing, it's not the pill that makes the difference. It's the faith that you have in the pill that makes the difference. And so, but how do you develop that faith? How do you develop it? How do you become convinced that if I take this, if I do this, if I engage in this way, that I am going to change, I am going to be healthier, I'm going to be stronger, I'm going to be wiser, I'm going to have whatever it is that I need in order to bring about a state of happiness for the people around me, and certainly for myself. Yeah, so I think that I have pretty much bounced around with these different questions here. Okay, so the last thing I'm just going to mention this because it's a much bigger topic, and it's something that I want to spend some time. I have been asked many times if I would teach the practice of the Dakinis, and I will. I think it's a very important practice. And it has to do with Carrie's question, what are the 5 wisdoms? So her question was, what are the 4 bodies, which I started out with an explanation, and what are the 5 wisdoms? So I'm just going to go briefly over those, but it is a huge body of experience. And I know it's very helpful. It just requires a certain amount of preparation for me, and I've had other things on my plate. But anyway, so of the 5, we have each wisdom has a title, it has an element, it has a color, it has a wisdom power. The wisdoms are also part of the 5 powers. It has a power. It also has an occluded emotion, meaning our perception of experience is not clear. So when it's clear, the power of the emotion displays as wisdom. So, number 1, we have Buddha wisdom. This is also called Dharma Dhatu wisdom. This wisdom radiates a sense of calm spaciousness. The energy is all-pervasive and accommodating. The confused quality is immobile, dense energy of ignoring, ignorance, denying, confusion. So those situations can reveal the truth. Dharma Dhatu means all that exists. It's also a way of expressing emptiness. It means everything that exists in its totality, the great becoming, is Dharma Dhatu. Vajra wisdom, number 2, is the great becoming reflected, so that within the great becoming, we see all of the different appearances. And yet we also recognize that all of these appearances are one taste. They arise out of the Dharma Dhatu. So the wisdom is called the mirror-like wisdom, because we see that reality and the way it appears, all the different appearances, that like looking in a mirror, the mirror itself is just one thing. But the appearances as they occur in the mirror show a definition. So that's mirror-like wisdom. This is clear energy, seeing without bias. In other words, we're looking at the array, but we're not concluding anything about it. We're not having concepts about what we see. The confused quality can take on self-righteous quality that hardens into hot or cold anger. So when we resist the unified field, then we engage in grasping and aversion. Number 3 is Ratna wisdom, which is jewel-like wisdom. This is the wisdom of equanimity. This is the wisdom that sees that everything has value. It doesn't matter whether it's dog shit or diamond. Everything has value. And it is only the conceptual mind that gives a credence over one over the other. So the confused quality of this turns into greed, territoriality, and pride, because we're grasping onto identity. The 4th wisdom, the Padma wisdom, lotus wisdom, the wisdom is called discriminating awareness. Discriminating awareness is our capacity to see concepts, the way concepts appear, and their relationship, the relationship that we have, and to seek out within these relationships the keynote of love and loving compassion. The confused quality can bring obsession to pleasure and craving. Number 5 is called karma wisdom, and this is all-accomplishing wisdom. This recognizes that now we are fully in action. We have determined we're ready to dance with the concepts within duality, and we recognize that whatever activity we engage in, that it must be for the benefit of all beings. And I have talked to myself. So I am going to go to gallery view and give you a chance to ask any questions that you may have by waving your hand. So if anyone has a question, please wave your hand and let me see. Okay, I don't see any hands going on.
Amina has a question.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Amina, you can unmute yourself.
Okay. Yeah, will you just briefly say the occlusion side for the karma family, please?
Jealousy. Power hungry, manipulative, competitive, and envious. In other words, the idea about karma literally means action. And so when we engage in activity, why are we engaging in activity? And so the occluded is we want to get on top. We want to be better than others. It's very competitive. And yes, power hungry is what's written here, which is kind of amusing. But yes, it's that idea that if I do more, then I can be more and I can have more. Yeah, Thank you, Amina. Any other question? Okay. I'm so oh, Sherry. Hi.
And Priya.
You can unmute yourself there, Sherry.
There we go.
Yeah.
Not so much a question as an observation is, wow, Prema, you are on fire and you are lighting us up. I feel lit up, and I'm one of those on the wagon for please teach us these beautiful Dharma families that we can understand these dakinis. And it's wonderful to have another source. Sultan Alione has a course as well, which is a beautiful mirroring of you in preparation of your time to teach us, which I can hardly wait for. There's just so much going on. Everything that you talked about today has been on all of our talks in our daily dances with each other. So today was magnificent. Thank you.
Thank you, Sherry. So beautiful. Okay,
Priya.
someone else?
Priya
All
has
right. Okay. Did you say Priya?
yes, Priya.
Okay. Speak.
Aloha. So I put in the chat because when I first came on, I was having a lot of emotions come up. I was feeling really triggered by something somebody said, and it had to do with the power of prayer. So I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about the power of prayer. And I'm noticing my own attachment to my personal belief in the power of prayer and feeling judged by others that and it's just really triggering me, like that my prayer is not worth anything. They're just like laughing at me like, oh yeah, prayer doesn't work, you know, like, yeah, you're wasting your time, basically, is the energy that I'm receiving from a person who I love very dearly, who, you know, so yeah, so this is coming up for me, and I thought, well, I'll share it because maybe somebody else is experiencing it, and how to deal with it, and letting go of my attachment. Certainly I realized that to my own belief in the power of prayer. But anyway, so yeah, I hope that.
Well, I would also say, Priya, to let go of your attachment to have anybody care anything about whatever it is that you're doing, especially on your spiritual journey. And if someone is not supportive, I wouldn't discuss it with them, however close or intimate the friendship was. Just don't go there, because the thing about prayer, now, it doesn't matter whether you believe in an external deity, or what you're addressing in your prayer is however you conceive, whatever your concept is, your inner concept of the highest you can imagine. And in our Tara practice, we imagine that the Tara before us is completely in possession of everything of the highest capacity that a human being can have. And when we are looking to ourself, when we are looking at ourselves in that way, then we are praying to that, whether it's external to us or whether it's internal to us. That's what we're addressing. So, and that has to do, that's between you and God, you know, it's between you and Tara. It has nothing to do with anybody else. So whatever anybody else thinks about this, I wouldn't even engage them. I don't, you know, I will not tell certain people whom I dearly love that I'm praying, because it wouldn't make any sense to them. To them, prayer means big God in the sky with the beard and doesn't exist. That's what prayer means to them. So of course, that's not what it means to me. Or it means, oh, this silly thing that you're doing with the Tara thing, that, you know, this goddess with, you know, that's from Tibet or whatever, and it has no reality on anything. Okay, that if that's what they think, more power to him. It really doesn't bother me, because there have been times in my life I thought the same thing. So I know what works for me. I also know that, as we were talking about, wishing another well, sending them energy, is a powerful practice. Even if it doesn't help them, it helps us to remain stable in the conditions, so that when we see the horrible circumstance of these refugees, for instance, wherever they are, with no home, no food, they don't know what's happening, and our heart goes out to them. We can pray for them. We can wish, oh, I hope they find their way easily. I hope they're all taken care of. I hope, that is going to strengthen us. Whereas if we go to the place of, oh, these poor people and the world is so bad and I don't know what to do, that weakens us. So if we really want to be of benefit, let's do what strengthens us. Let's not go in the direction of what weakens us. Is that helpful?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, sure. Anyone else have something that they want to say or share or ask?
Ann Wilder has a
Mitty,
question.
do you see anybody?
And
Ann Wilder. Okay, I'm looking for you. All right, if you speak, I'll see you. What's the question, Ann? Where are you?
Hi, Prema.
Hi.
Hi. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom. It's wonderful to see you, and I really appreciated what you just responded to Priya on. There were several things you said that resonated for me with that as well. So thank you. Thank you to Priya for asking the question, and thank you for your response. I just had a quick question I wanted to ask you, if you don't mind repeating the second wisdom between Buddha wisdom and Ratma wisdom. What was the second one?
Vajra wisdom.
Okay. And can you say a little bit about that again? Do you mind?
Vajra wisdom is called mirror-like wisdom.
Oh, okay.
So the element is water. It's reflective, like a mirror. We see everything clearly, but we see duality. We see all the images, all of the different ways in which appearance arises.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Of course. You're welcome. Anything else? Mitty, do you see anybody else? Joshua? Okay, very good. So, my beloved friends, it's been very, very wonderful to spend some time with you. I am very, very happy that you could all come and be present. And so I ask, with our hands together, that we think about the conditions in our own life, whatever it is that we need in our own body mind to support our aspirations for awakened mind, that we may manifest wisdom and compassion within us, and that we may be skillful as we move through the world, blessing and empowering and helping others to manifest the fullness of their own essence. Whatever power and joy we've created through this time together, whatever inspiration, we ask that go out into the world. I specifically want to send some of this energy to the leaders of the world and ask that they may really help to bring about harmony, to bring about peace, to bring about well-being for all. I think of all of the countless beings of this planet and send our love and our light and our wish that they may be happy and our wish that they may be free of anything that holds them back from manifesting the fullness of awakened mind. Om. With great gratitude, with great gratitude. Thank you so much, Midi. Thank you so much, Joshua, for making it possible for us to engage in this way. I'm so grateful.